근데 디디마가 있어야
있어요.
오케이.
그들이 고통이 아닌 자유를 원한다는 것 외에 다른 이유가 필요하지 않다는 것이
Alright,
이것입니다. 이는 모든 인간이 인간답게 살 권리가 있다는 것에 이유가 필요 없어야 하는 것과 마찬가지입니다. 새벽이
Alright, hello everyone. For anyone who's just joining, we had some. We are back on the scene. We have just finished some of the speeches. For anyone who's just joining, let me get everyone caught up real quick. We are in Seoul, South Korea. Our live streamer right now is actually getting ready to do a speech on her own in front of these many activists who have come. But we are going to be, thanks everyone for waiting for a little bit. We had a brief situation with the internet, but I think we have a much more stable connection now for the rest of the stream. So my name is Jake. I'm a friend of Goyang, who introduced herself just a little bit ago. She's going to be doing the main stream, but I'm here while she's preparing for her speech. So we are going to all be marching, and as you can see, there's hundreds of people. I'm not sure if you can get the angle right over here. But look at all these people that are set up. We're in Gangnam, a very well-known part of Seoul, South Korea. A lot of people in the West might have heard of Gangnam Style, that song. Well, here it is. This is where we are. And we are marching all the way to the Supreme Court of South Korea to highlight a case that's been accepted by the Supreme Court regarding 2019 was the year when several activists locked down the entrance to a slaughterhouse, a chicken slaughterhouse in a city outside of Seoul. So everyone today is getting ready for that. There's been already a lot of speeches by several activist groups, not just involved directly in animal rights, but people who are involved in disabilities activism, people who are involved in the sex workers movement and the feminist movement. And the climate justice movement, in fact. People might know about Extinction Rebellion. It's a pretty well-known organization all around the world. So anyone who's just joining right now, please share this as much as you can with people you know. There's going to be a lot of interesting stuff going on today. I think once we get to the Supreme Court, there's going to be all kinds of big, really exciting things to see. So my name's Jake. I'm a friend of Goyang. Goyang is an activist here. Goyang is an activist here, and she's going to be doing a speech in just a little bit. But right now, I'm standing in and helping with it. We're having a little bit of internet stability issues, but I think it might just be because of where we're specifically at right now in the city. But hopefully everyone can still see what's going on. Let me show everyone that's happening over here. I want to give a little bit of background, if I can, to some of the other groups that have shown up today. There's a specific disabilities activist group here in South Korea that's called Jeonsanyeon in Korean. I'm not actually sure what their English name is, but I'll have to look it up so we can get that information out. But they're a group that's committed to direct action for disability liberation in South Korea. And they've done a lot of really incredible work and have close ties with DXE in South Korea, because ultimately they both recognize that to get change to happen, to get society to see an issue differently, it really does take civil disobedience. It takes looking back in history at what kind of movements have worked. And this group, Jeonsanyeon in South Korea, has done a lot of important work.
이거 고향 폰이야?
지금 고향이 그럼 발언을 준비하는 중이니까.
발언은 아니고.
발언 말고?
차가 들어왔어.
진짜? 일단 내가 임시로 라이브 스트리밍을 담당하고 있어. 그리고 와이파이가 조금 약하다고 했는데 혹시 그 와이파이 자체는 어디에 있어?
지금 고양이 에그를 가지고 있어가지고 빨리 가지고 오고 있대.
좋아.
통화했습니다.
Alright. Hi everyone again. I was just checking in on our internet situation. I think we have an idea of what the reason is going to be. That's a good point. I'll take my mask off. Thank you, Shayama, I think. Thank you for that message. We are outside, and South Korea does no longer have mask rules for being outside. I just forgot to take mine off. My name's Jake, and I'm a friend of the main live streamer today, whose name is Goyang. She's here in South Korea, in Gangnam. And she's getting ready for a big performance. She's actually a musician. She'll probably tell you a little about it when she gets back on the live stream. But I'm just a friend, and I'm helping out for the time being. So I guess I can give a little bit more of information. We are marching to the Supreme Court of South Korea. So here we're about to have, right now before we start, a lot of different groups that are doing direct action together in South Korea and that are in solidarity with DXE are coming together to do a speech. So I'll just, for just a little bit, turn the camera around so you can see who's giving a speech now. This is a representative of an organization called A World Without War. And they came out with a really, really great documentary. For anyone who can see, these are all the activists that are gathered listening to the speech right now before the march starts. This group does a lot of work with people who, I guess the right word would be conscientious objectors. Many people might know that South Korea has mandatory military service for men. It's a very long period of time, but a lot of people, for various reasons, don't want to be committing to that, and they might be pacifist personally, politically, they might have religious reasons. And this organization that right now has come in solidarity with DXE does a lot of work related to people who reject that the military service. Their documentary, I'm not sure if it's been subtitled, but if you look for, in Korean it translates into English, A World Without War, and they do really, really incredible work. I saw their documentary with some friends. But yeah, definitely share this video with as many people as you can. We're going to have a lot of cool things to show. Yeah, I think the internet hopefully is going to be more stable for the rest of the day. We've got some people working on it, so apologies to anyone who's having trouble seeing what's going on. But yeah, for anyone just joining, we are in Seoul, South Korea, maybe the most well-known place in South Korea, outside of, yeah, I think the most well-known place, which is Gangnam. And we are going to be marching together with all these people to the Supreme Court. Oh, I see some more people are joining. Looks like someone from Australia. Thanks for joining in. Yeah, we are going to be marching there to highlight a case, a slaughterhouse lockdown case. So some people might not know what that means. It means that in 2019, I think in the fall, because it was International Animal Rights Day, or that might be the name of the day, a group of activists went to a chicken slaughterhouse in a city called Yongin, Y-O-N-G-I-N, which is a little bit outside of South Korea. And they locked themselves down. They put their arms in a suitcase filled with concrete and laid down out on the street in front of the entrance of the slaughterhouse, blocking any trucks to come in. And obviously, you know, some people look at that and say, oh, you know, what are you doing? You can't stop this. You can't stop the trucks from coming in eventually. But really, the point that the activists wanted to get across was how morally urgent and how horrific the situation is right now, where day after day after day, chickens are being killed and they're being treated like objects right now in the world that we're living in. So the activists went and they blocked the entrance. I mean, they did slow down business for pretty much the whole day. I think there were trucks backed up all the way. Anyone who's interested might be able to look on DXE Korea's page for some history of what they did here. And they went through 2 trials. You first have a local trial, and then you can appeal. And the specific crime, quote unquote, and now personally, I don't, in our current legal system, I suppose maybe it's considered a crime to obstruct business and to block it from moving forward. But when the business is, you know, involved in taking the lives of and torturing and killing a lot of animals that are really no different from the dogs and cats that we love. I personally think this way, and I think everyone else here does, including the activists who did this work. Yeah, I see Patty Montgomery, who seems to agree, so thanks for that comment. I couldn't agree more. It is wrong. And the activists here wanted to show that, so they lied down in front of the trucks and said, hey, we are not going to let this stand anymore. This is unacceptable that we live in a world that thinks this is okay. And we're going to draw attention to this issue, and eventually we're going to challenge the whole system. And it got an enormous amount of media attention. DXE in South Korea has multiple times just captured the public narrative through different disruptions that they've done. And in their first trial, they got a guilty sentence for quote-unquote obstructing justice. Again, I mean, if that's what it takes to rescue someone, I think that we should build towards a world where that isn't seen as a problem. We already do that for dogs that are trapped in cars. We already do that for humans that are trapped in places, and it's important to get them out and save them. So what's the difference here? So then after that, there was a second trial. Oh, hi, Goyan. No, it's okay. I've been doing the live stream.
Sorry, I'm not an English speaker, so sometimes I don't know. Hi. So here's my.
Oh yeah, Goyang is gonna take back, but I'll be around to help with translating or give more context. So here's Goyang.
Hi. So I brought the car. Actually, I should say something to some other members. 혹시 잠깐만. 다련 어디 있어? 다련? 다련한테 지금 차 여기 대여놨다고 얘기 좀 해줄래? 저기 있는 저 하얀 차. Oh, sorry. Thank you. So here's one of our chapter member, DXC Korea, and also the head organizer of IW31, which stands for International Waters, working on the shutting down the detention center, foreign detention center in South Korea, which is the symbol of no human right at all.
You should change it into Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi. Hey, 1 minute. I have to change the internet carrier right now, so it'll take like 2 minutes. Sorry. I'm not good at Android phones.
완전히 끊어야 되는 거야?
I don't know. Maybe only.
와이파이로 바꾸면 돼.
Okay, change the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, we're gonna change Wi-Fi for just 1 second, so we might be out of service for just a minute or so, but we'll be right back.
I'm coming back.
Woo! All right, we're back.
So, this is Ajong from DXC Korean chapter and also IW31, which means International Waters 31. And the IW31 is working on shutting down the detention center for foreigners in South Korea. And it's very infamous for their lack of human rights inside. Yeah. So it'll.
절대로 너무나 안 된다고 그러놓은 선을
이따가 내가 다시 갖다 놓을.
강하게 뛰어넘을 겁니다. 그리고 그 선을 그어놓은 자들에게 갇혀있는 모든 존재의 해방을 요구하며 외칠 겁니다.
They are shouting out
동물들의 몸부림,
so every birth of animals, every move of the animals.
이 도시락 폭탄에 우리의 목소리를 타고
They will be liberated because we are shouting out their liberation, which is also the same as human beings' liberation. So. Animal liberation right now. Yeah, amazing. So as I know, their speech was the last speech, and now Eun-young is holding back the MRC. So we're gonna have a time to take the photo of us Yeah, after that, I'm gonna bring back the car to the parking lot. Gangnam Station is very crowded area, so it'll take some time. Then I'm thinking of just holding this with me. After taking photos, we're gonna have a march to the Supreme Court, and we're gonna have some speeches from the chapter members and organizers of DXC Korea also. Yeah. Simulation of the action today at the Supreme Court. And I have another task that I gotta show them how to use the drums. Yeah, simulation. Yeah. Diane.
정말 죽은 듯이 있어야 돼요. 죽은 듯이 있고 제가 스피치가 이게 나갈 것인데 우리는 행동할 것입니다 라고 하면은 그 말을 다 듣고 우리는 행동할 것입니다 하고 일어서시면 돼요. 이거는 제가 여러분 앞에서 한 번만 더 안내를
The
드릴게요.
supporters and activists are holding the flag, the Rogers Law, the sentences of Rogers Law are written. So the right to be free, right not to be killed, right to be represented at the court, right to be saved, yeah, right to have the police. 안녕하세요. Hey. So, the activists from SADD, they're working really hard for, they're from solidarity against disability discrimination. And I told you that they're rock stars in South Korean field. 진우 씨, 샌프란시스코에 지금 DXC 라이브 하고 있어요. 네. 안녕하세요. 안녕하세요. They are rock stars.
그래서 내 신변이 조금 위험하다 하는 분이 아닌 이상은
We're all taking pictures.
앞분한테 가려지지 않고 잘 보이도록 여러분들이 서서 주시면 좋을 것 같고, 네, 깃발 들고 만장히 들고 계시는 분들도 얼굴이 잘 나오도록 옆에 빼꼼 내밀어 주시고, 내가 얼굴 드러낼 수 있다 하는 웬만한 분들은 모자나 마스크도 조금 벗고 얼굴이 잘 나오게 찍어주시면 좋을 것 같아요. 어차피 사람이 많아서 여러분들 얼굴 안 보이거든요, 여러분. 우리는 얼굴을 내놓고
So during taking pictures, I'm going to bring back the car to the parking lot. And
옆에 사람이 너무 많아요.
to not
뒤에도 공간이 있는 자리면 조금 올라가 주시고
lose the Wi-Fi, I'll bring just
그냥 빠르게 우리
this
그냥
the car.
찍어봐야 될 것 같아.
나 이거 그냥 가지고 차 대고 오려고.
아, 차를?
차 저기 있는데 이제 짐을 실었다고 하니까.
그래. 그럼 내가 들고 있을까?
그러면은 와이파이까지 같이 할래?
아, 맞다.
와이파이 있어. Just I'll hand over the camera to Jake, my friend.
Okay. And I've got, we now have a
자,
really
그러면 우리
stable
찍겠습니다.
Wi-Fi.
하나, 둘, 셋. 자, 우리 이제 이 포즈를 한번 찍어봅시다. 우리 투쟁하는 이제 파이팅 포즈를 같이. 자, 우리 하나, 둘,
Hi,
셋.
everyone.
투쟁!
I'm taking brief control of the camera again when Goyang is going to go
하나,
and
둘,
get some
셋.
equipment.
지금 당장 동물의 방!
But let me get everyone behind me. For anyone who's just checking in,
지금 당장
we are in South Korea, Seoul, South Korea, and maybe the most well-known part of South Korea, which is the region called Gangnam. Maybe people know that song Gangnam Style from, I think it's already been 10 years. But we are in that part of town. We are going to be marching to the Supreme Court of South Korea with all of these activists. Some of them are animal rights activists. Some of them are here in solidarity. They mostly work in the disabilities movement, or they work in the sex workers liberation movement, or they work in a movement that fights against the military conscription system here.
네, 이제 DX 공식
So
계정이
there's a lot
이용되실
of
수
people that are
있습니다.
all here together recognizing that all these issues are really connected.
네, 역사책에
And,
나중에 역사책에 실리실 수 있습니다.
I'm just really happy I
저도
can be of help
고지했습니다.
too. So anyone who sees this, definitely,
저는 이제 뒤쪽으로
yeah,
한
send
명씩
this out,
이동하도록
share
할게요.
this with as many people. Yeah.
저희 노래는 지금 생략할게요. 왜냐면 빨리
So I think we're
이동해야
about to
돼서
start the actual
뒤쪽으로
march. So
여러분
soon we're going to be
이쪽으로
walking to
먼저 만장기부터
the Supreme Court of South Korea. Now, why are we doing this
만장기,
to the Supreme
만장기부터
Court? Why
이쪽으로.
are we going to the president's house or I don't know,
만장기부터 이쪽으로 네,
some
만장기
big
선생님.
mall or something? There's actually a reason that everyone is going right now to the actual Supreme Court. It's because the Supreme Court has accepted
네, 여러분
a
이쪽으로
legal
오세요.
case
왼쪽으로 오세요.
that several of the
왼쪽으로.
activists gathered here today are part of. It's a
왼쪽으로
legal case
오세요.
that relates to a shutdown of a slaughterhouse in a city called Yongin. It's spelled Yongin, which is a city in a little bit outside of Seoul. And they went and they shut down a chicken slaughterhouse for pretty much the whole day, and were charged with obstructing business for really, I mean, what I don't think we should be considering a business. And what the activists argue here is, look, this is the business of regularly killing thousands and millions, especially with chickens. I mean, the numbers are just staggeringly large. We can't have this anymore. We need to move to a world where this isn't happening. And they appealed their case because at first the local judge said, well, you know, you blocked the road and that's the crime, so end of story. And it went up to the second appeals case, and they also held up the conviction, the guilty, but the judge actually wrote something really incredible in her finding, or in her decision, that she recognized that the world is basically changing. I'm not sure if there's a translation available yet of this decision, but it recognized that what they did that day outside of the slaughterhouse is part of a current of how the world is changing, one that she herself as a judge recognizes. She cited precedents in Europe and in other countries that are slowly recognizing that this is inhumane. Killing an animal when we don't need to is inhumane. To treat an animal like property it's wrong and it's unjust and it's not what we want to be having in our world right now. So even though she upheld the decision, this judge actually wrote very flatteringly and very sympathetically about the cause that they were working on, which gives us a lot of hope for the long-term prospects of this movement here. And it has been accepted at the Supreme Court, which is why we're marching to the Supreme Court today. There's some, I guess, technicalities legally, but long story short, when you appeal and you say, okay, I don't like the appeal decision either, I want the Supreme Court to be able to look at this situation. The Supreme Court can just they have a period of time to say, hey, we're not interested. We're not going to cover this. And if that's the case, the case just dies right there and it doesn't get covered. But there is a deadline for that time. Yeah, no, exactly. Thanks, Tanya, for your message. I really do agree that judges are humans too. Judges are animals too, like all of us. And I think at the end of the day, more and more people have had animals in their lives, non-human animals, and recognize their value, their moral value, that they have feelings, that they can suffer, that they can feel love. Yeah, so fortunately, this judge. Oh, I think the march is starting. For anyone who's just joining, we are marching in Seoul to the Supreme Court, and we're going onto the street. So now's the time where there are some guides who are directing us in the right direction. For anyone, if you see behind me, you can see a lot of people with placards and signs. But yeah, so the Supreme Court, basically, the deadline where they could have thrown out this case has gone past, which means that they looked at some part of that case and said, hey, you know, I suppose this is worth it. I suppose this is something, maybe we don't know what decision they'll come to at the end of the day, but they decided that it was a reasonable enough situation, you know, where they wanted to actually take a look at it. So we will be getting the chance for these activists to make that argument there. And we're walking all the way towards the Supreme Court right now at this moment. I'm going to turn us around a little bit so that everyone can see what the road looks like. This is Gangnam in South Korea. Maybe some of you might know that song Gangnam Style, very famous song that came out about a year ago. And this march was actually applied for, so the police have come and are kind of protecting or the street, or they're standing in the way. Anyone who participates in Pride in South Korea, LGBT big event in the summer, we'll see kind of a similar event where the police come and make sure that there's a space to walk in. But yeah, so here we are on the street walking towards the Supreme Court. Let me raise us up a little bit so everyone can see. And let me get everyone a look on the other side. All right. For anyone who's just joining, thanks for coming in. We're in South Korea walking towards the Supreme Court. And it looks like there's some type of event happening right now. I'll keep you guys updated. I'll keep everyone here updated about what the events are. But for anyone who just missed it, before we started the march, a lot of different activists from many different movements in South Korea came. Yeah, so a lot of different activists from different groups, they came and they gave speeches. So I'll talk a little bit about what some of those groups are involved in. And our main live streamer for today is actually getting some equipment ready, so she'll come back soon. But I think I might have seen a question earlier in the comments related to the use of dog flesh as a product, as a food in South Korea. And it's an interesting question. It's one that people in South Korea in the animal movement are actually very involved in discussions about, because when you have an abolitionist approach to animal rights and you say, hey, all of this is wrong. It doesn't matter if it's a chicken or if he or she is a pig that's being killed or a cow. What's the difference here? And that kind of poses a challenge to a larger portion of South Korean society, which kind of has a lot more of discomfort with dogs being used for flesh. So it leads to a lot of interesting conversations, and it is very unfortunate to know that sometimes all different types of animals all over the world are used for their bodies. In every country, it might be different which animals are considered clean, or which animals are considered good for use, and which animals are considered disgusting for food use, or which animals are considered too much of our friend to kill. And it really is strange when you take a step back and look, and a lot of Korean activists here in DXE are trying to point out, hey, it doesn't really matter what kind of cultural context we came out of in terms of which animals happen to be used. We just need animals, no matter what species they are, to not be commodified, to not be used for their bodies. And they make a really, really great point. So there are a lot more people in South Korea who are involved with trying to completely ban the dog flesh industry in South Korea. It does have a lot more wide support right now, mostly because a lot more people are familiar with dogs as companion animals. So if they have a thought of a dog being killed for his or her body, they'll think of a dog that they know in their life and say, hey, that's not right, I don't want that to happen. And it just doesn't happen to be the case that a lot of people interact with chickens or with pigs or with cows or with fish or with sheep or with goats, or unfortunately, the number of species of animals that are treated this way I could go on for a very long time. But unfortunately, not as many people have that connection with those other animals, even though it's completely possible. I see some people in the live stream talking about how they have very, very meaningful relationships with non-human and also non-dog animals. So some people have a really strong relationship with chickens in their lives or with pigs in their lives, especially activists. And actually, this is maybe a good time to talk about the story of Dawn the pig, because in South Korea, several activists rescued a pig named Dawn from a slaughterhouse here, or not a slaughterhouse, excuse me, from a farm here in South Korea. For anyone joining, by the way, share this with as many people as you can, and there's going to be a lot of really interesting things going on. But we are here in Gangnam, maybe the most well-known part of Seoul in South Korea, Gangnam style fame. And there are hundreds of activists, I think. I mean, it's just an enormous number. Let me turn us around a bit. As you can see, we have just a ton of people lined up all there. Everyone's holding signs with specific labels that say, Animal Bill of Rights, specifically delineating some of the rights. For instance, the right to be rescued from pain, to be rescued from a situation where you're being abused. And I think that connects really, really well with the story of Dawn. So Dawn is a pig, and it's not too often that you can talk about a pig that was alive in 2019 and still say is a pig instead of was a pig. I think that's it's pretty profoundly disturbing to think of that, given how naturally pigs will live a lot longer than 2 or 3 years, however long it's been. So Dawn is a pig that activists here rescued from a farm in South Korea. And they basically operated on the same logic that any of us operate on if we were to find a dog in trouble, or a cat in trouble, or a baby in trouble, a human baby. Which is, look, if you walk past a car and you see a dog who's trapped in a hot car, and you know how dangerous that can be, you can suffocate. I mean, human babies and dogs have gone through hell in that, and you don't know where the owner is. In a lot of states, at least in the United States, there's a defense for someone who breaks into that car, which would normally be illegal, and goes in and says, no, you know what, I understand it's property damage, or it could be a crime if this wasn't the circumstances.
앞이 훨씬 소리도 잘 들리고 텐션이 있어서 라이브 스트리밍 앞에서 하시면 좋을 것 같아요.
오, 그럼 한번 앞으로 가는 할 수 있는 괜찮은 길이 있을까요? I'm going to move us up just a little bit so we can get a better view of what's going on. It could be just a little more fun to see than just being at the way back of the line. All right, we're going 이쪽으로요? All right, we are walking. All right, this is good. Now we can see a little bit more of the action. 오, 아주 좋은 생각이었어요. Okay, let me turn this around. Okay, now we can see a little bit more of the action.
이동!
We just had some chants and some drumming that was actually led by our main live streamer today, Goyang. You might have seen, she's the one who just put up a message. If anyone can see the Korean writing that someone just put up a message, that is Goyang. She is an activist here. And she was our live streamer just a bit ago. I think she's going to be coming back soon. But yeah, she just led a big chant at the front with a bunch of drummers. So here we are. We're marching. We have big flags in the sky. And we are marching all the way to the Supreme Court of South Korea. So my name is Jake. I live in Seoul. I'm a friend with Goyang, and she had to get busy a bit to lead the chant. She's also a musician, so she's very involved in. Actually, this is her voice right now. If you can hear in the background the music. So she asked me just to take up the camera for a little bit and help out. And since I was here anyway, I figured I'd help. But let me keep telling the story a bit about Dawn the pig, because that really is. Oh no, Goyang is saying that I speak. No, Goyang speaks just perfect English. I think when she gets back here and she'll be able to talk about all the same stuff I'm talking about. So yeah. But here we are. For anyone checking in, we are marching all the way. I think there's got to be a couple hundred activists or so, and we are marching all the way to the Supreme Court of South Korea to draw attention to a legal case that the Supreme Court is going to be seeing. But let me talk back a little bit more about Dawn the pig, because it's just an important moment in the history of this chapter, where some activists basically walked in to a pig farm, or a so-called farm. I don't think these places really deserve to be dignified with a word like that, which normally makes us think that it's pleasant and it's peaceful and it's a place of rich sustenance. when it's really the video footage, and anyone can look up DXE Korea's YouTube page, the story of Dawn who was rescued. Where Dawn was born and raised was hell on earth. Anyone who sees the video of the conditions that Dawn was born into and would have died at, and not call it anything other than just hell on earth, absolute torture. I wouldn't believe you. I wouldn't believe you saying it, and I think anyone would know that something deeply wrong is going to happen. Yeah, I see Donna is going to go look it up. I think if you just, thanks so much for showing your interest in this chapter over here. If you just type in Direct Action Everywhere Korea, I think, and then it's probably their top video, and it has English subtitles as well. So if you just go on YouTube, their YouTube channel, DXE Korea, or Direct Action Everywhere Korea, and click on their, sort their videos by most popular, you should be able to find it. But yeah, long story short, they walk into this so-called pig farm, which is really just a pig breeding and torture facility, and they find mother pigs being confined in crates that they cannot leave out of for their entire lives while they're caring for them, for their children. And they found baby pigs who were too weak to move, who were lying down in either their own or their mother's excrement and dying, or already dead. Like I said before, I think it's very difficult to describe that situation as anything other than obscene and something that we need to stop right now. But the activists found a couple pigs in there. Some people might know that a lot of pigs that won't make it to slaughter weight, unfortunately, are considered just a waste of resources by the business, and they're killed on the so-called farm before they can get older. And it can be really, really horrific in the ways they're killed. But Dawn was one such pig that I'm not sure, based on his weight at the time, if he would have been killed or not early. But either way, he would have been killed eventually, because all of his brothers and sisters who were not able to be rescued, they were eventually slaughtered. But the activists looked and they said, just like we would say with a dog or a cat, look, this is an animal who's going to die if we don't do something, who's going to die painfully if we don't do something. And what's the difference? What's the difference between us doing what it takes to get this pig to safety compared to what it takes to get a dog to safety who's in a hot car? So they took him out. And they took him and they founded the first sanctuary in South Korea, the first animal sanctuary. Some people who might be interested in the animal rights movement and have heard about this in other countries, the United States has a lot of farm sanctuaries, for instance. The basic idea is that it's a place where animals who are rescued from these types of conditions are given the chance to just live out their lives the way that any of them really deserves. The way that any of us honestly deserve to live out the rest of our lives freely, the way we want to, without being confined and tortured and mutilated. I want to be sensitive to anyone who doesn't want to hear too many details about really horrible things that can bring up any kind of trauma about what they've seen themselves. But Dawn himself, this pig that was rescued by Korean activists in 2019, was horrifically mutilated as part of just the standard business practice of raising pigs for their bodies in South Korea. He had some really bad things happen to him, parts of his body cut off of him without any painkillers, because that's how it's done. Because there's no conception that Dawn was a someone instead of a something. But fortunately, he went on, and he's living right now in the Dawn Sanctuary, which was named for him, where he's living out his life freely. And one of the members who works at that sanctuary, or volunteers at that sanctuary, came and spoke today. So actually came and gave a speech on behalf of the sanctuary, which wouldn't have started, Dawn wouldn't have been rescued without the work of very, very courageous activists who just went in and did the right thing, and are trying to challenge the world that they live in for having rescued this animal. So yeah, and if anyone is really inspired by this, I think Donna has been really showing a lot of curiosity about this chapter and has shown a lot of interest. So thank you so much for your interest. And I know it's pretty late in the U.S. at this point. Yeah, so have a good night for anyone who's getting ready to go to sleep and log off if you're based in the West or the West Hemisphere. If you're in Australia, if you're in New Zealand, I don't know what the time difference is, but we're in South Korea, so you're probably around the same time, so stick around. And I think Carla just made a great point that this is so much like Smithfield. For those of you who don't know, Smithfield is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, pig-killing institutions, pig-killing companies. Oh, okay. I see you're in Arkansas. Well, thank you so much for checking in, because I know people are busy. Everyone's time is limited. But I just, I myself wanted to help people get some context when Goyang, our main streamer, is kind of busy. And it's 10:30 p.m. Getting pretty late in California too. Well, let me show a little bit for anyone who's just joining in. Here we are at Seoul, South Korea, in the neighborhood called Gangnam. A lot of people might have heard of Gangnam. Oh, thanks, Carla. Yeah. Smithfield is in fact the largest producer of pig flesh in the world. So, yeah, here we are, and I think we have some kind of drum performance. I don't know if people can hear it right now. I'm going to take a step up. Let me turn us around just so everyone can see. If everyone hears the rhythm, and we have some people clapping. Yeah. And also, behind me, we have a lot more people. All right, and now we're going to keep walking a little bit more. Okay, well, for anyone just checking in, and it might be pretty late for anyone in the Western Hemisphere, so thanks so much for your time. My name's Jake. I live in Seoul, South Korea, and I'm here briefly taking over the live stream as our main live streamer is busy setting up some equipment and doing some chants for the march. We are in South Korea, marching towards the Supreme Court. And once we get there should be, I think, some type of performance or some type of recreation of some important event. I don't know all the details, so I'll keep you guys tuned as I go along. I just showed up to take part, and here I am just helping a little bit with the live stream. But I've had the fortune to be able to work a lot with the people in this organization and to hear a lot of their stories. So if anyone can hear right now the chant, I don't know if you hear that goes with this rhythm. So what that means is the Animal Bill of Rights. In Korean, the word animal is pronounced and now they're saying dismantle speciesism. I guess maybe that's the best way to translate it. And they're naming all of the rights on the Animal Bill of Rights, which is the proposed amendment that activists here in South Korea also want to have to change the law in South Korea. I'm going to take us a little bit more to the front so we can see some of what's going on up front. But yeah, as you can see, if you see behind me, we have a ton of people walking. A lot of them have placards. A lot of them have really great signs, and they're saying things like, well, non-human animals should have the right to be rescued. If they're in a difficult situation where they could die, they have the right to be rescued in the same way that we excuse pretty much whatever it takes to save the life of a baby or of a puppy who's in trouble. we should excuse any kind of nonviolent action that takes to go in and help a chicken or a pig or a cow or a fish. And the activists right now here in South Korea are asserting that to the world, and especially to the neighborhood of Gangnam. Yeah, so we're walking right now. Thanks so much again for everyone who's checking in. And if you're interested, share this with other people. Know that if you are aware of the animal rights movement happening in where you live, in the part of the country that you live in, or the part of the world that you live in, know that it's happening here too. It's happening in South Korea. Oh, I see. I think we have Patricia just made a wonderful comment. Thanks so much for commenting and joining. Patricia says that has a great friend who's a veterinarian who is from Korea. Oh, great. Well, if you let your friend know about... Oh, let me read the rest. Oh, what a wonderful story. It looks like... Oh, okay. So it looks like this veterinarian friend of yours helped care with your dog when your dog was suffering with cancer. So that's wonderful. I also myself, I grew up with a dog in my house who also suffered from cancer, and fortunately we took him to some veterinarians who took care of him, and he got the right treatment, and he was able to live a really healthy life for the rest of his life as a dog. And I think that's an experience that a lot of people have, mostly with dogs or with cats or with gerbils or the kinds of animals that some people have in their houses. But in Korea right now, where we are, Seoul, South Korea, a lot of activists say it's so great that we are caring about these dogs that are in our houses, that are part of our families. But there's so many other animals out there that because of their species, or even certain dogs, just because of being unlucky and being born as a research dog, are treated horrifically in the world we are right now, because they're treated as objects. So right now the activists who are with me over here behind me, we're marching all the way to the Supreme Court of South Korea. And once we get there, there's going to be some really exciting things going on. But yeah, for anyone who's just joining, I guess I can talk a little bit more about going through again. Why the Supreme Court? Why aren't we going to the president's house? Or why aren't we going to, any kind of other building? Well, the main reason is that there's a Supreme Court case that's being handled right now related to an action that some activists in South Korea did 3 years ago now, in 2019. And they went to a city called Yongin. So the way you spell that is Y-O-N-G-I-N. If you look it up on a map, you'll be able to see it's very, very close to the capital area of Seoul. I guess it's part of the capital area, but it's a little bit outside of Seoul. And they went to a slaughterhouse there, a chicken slaughterhouse. And this slaughterhouse, I think I looked up the stats because they're publicly available. They kill some maybe tens of thousands of chickens every day. So they take them in trucks and they take them inside and just quote unquote process them, which is a euphemism, as a lot of people have pointed out. Calling it processing just isn't, it's hiding the horror of what's really happening for anyone who's actually witnessed what these chickens would go through. And if they, for whatever reason, are not slaughtered in the right way, quote unquote, that the company thinks is the right way. A lot of us here, and I think it's perfectly reasonable to say there isn't really a right way to slaughter a chicken when there's no need to, and when this chicken, if presented with the choice, would clearly opt for not being slaughtered. But unfortunately, when it's not even done in the way that the companies are saying are right, which because of the really, really high quotas that they demand on their workers, unfortunately a lot of workers just aren't able to go exactly by the protocol, which I don't think is their fault, because they're being put on such a high quota to do this work. They end up doing a lot more harm and a lot more kind of painful ways for these chickens to be killed. So I don't think everyone at DHC here makes an argument that I think makes complete sense, which is, well, it doesn't really make sense to be doing any kind of killing. So just focusing on the bad types of killing versus the good, there isn't really a good, is the argument. And for anyone who can see right now, in South Korea, we're in the middle of Gangnam, which is a really, really well-known part of South Korea. Some people might know Gangnam Style, and some activists have gone up to a bridge, and they've unfurled this huge banner. Oh, it must be, it's this bridge that goes across the highway, and it's part of this march that's going to the Supreme Court. And if you can see over there, it's got several rights in Korean that are delineated. So they include the right to be rescued from pain, from suffering, and from exploitation, which, again, is a completely reasonable thing to demand of anything, for any kind of animal, like a dog or a chicken or a pig or a cow. There's also included rights. Anyone who's interested can look up on the full delineation of what all these rights are. If you go to Rose's Law, which is the name of this bill, or of this proposed eventual change to the Constitution in South Korea, in the United States, and in a lot of different places. I'm going to turn us around so we can see the back. For anyone just joining, we're here in South Korea, in Seoul, and there are just a ton of people. I mean, if you look behind me, there's this big banner drop that's come over a bridge across the street. And then behind me, there's even more activists and participants and just members of the community who have all lined up here. So there's a speech going on right now. I'm a little too far away. Yeah, with the cars going by and all, unfortunately, I might have to take a little bit step closer to get an exact, content of what it is. But that's an activist up there. Here, I'll turn this around so we can see her again. I don't know if anyone just heard that, but a driver who saw our signs just drove by and yelled something out. But a lot of the activists and participants here, we just kind of recognize that a lot of people might not understand the situation yet. And I think if they do really grasp what is going on in our world right now in terms of how animals are being treated, a lot of people that react that way and maybe have this initial kind of angry reaction and go by yelling, "Hey, you guys are, you're weirdos," or whatever they say. A lot of people who say those things, when they learn more about the issue and they're given a chance to talk with a lot of activists, they come around and say, "Oh my God, they do that to pigs? They do that to chickens? I had no idea." I myself was shocked when I first learned about some of the things that are happening right now as we're talking. Thanks again. Patricia left a comment thanking all the activists here and all the participants for precious dogs, chickens, and any precious animal that's in fear of being killed or horrifically abused. And I completely agree. I think when you see footage of what non-human animals like cows and chickens and pigs, what they look like when they're taken to the slaughter floor, they react absolutely no differently from how you would or how I would. I feel very strongly that if I was in a situation like that, I would be doing the same scrambling for my life and the same desperate attempt to do anything to get out. Because at the end of the day, we're all animals. When we fall down and scrape our knee and go ouch and don't like that feeling, it's because we're an animal that we don't like that feeling. When we feel love for loved ones in our life, for our family, there are so many other animals like cows, pigs, chickens, dogs that feel the same way. It might not be the exact same way. It might be the exact same way. It's unfortunate we're very quick as a species right now to make those kinds of assumptions that they're not the same. We're better. we're more sophisticated. But everyone here in Seoul, who's gathered for this march, is here to argue and to recognize that it's not different. And we know that we win when we show people, and we're able to show people exactly what the reality is. So that was kind of the motivation behind the initial action that's kind of the basis for this march that's happening today. And what this action was, it happened in 2019, and they went to a city called Yongin, it's called Y-O-N-G-I-N, and they basically just locked down the road going into the slaughterhouse, and they said, hey, this is unacceptable that this is happening. Some really, I think, interesting and almost poetic things happened on that day. To give more context about that event, there was a specific chicken that unfortunately had already died on their way to the slaughterhouse that day. A lot of people might not be aware of this, but because of how these businesses operate, they don't see each chicken as kind of an individual, special individual. Someone who has their own experience of the world, someone who has their own experience of pain, someone who has their own experience of love, pleasure, wanting things. They're just seen as units of production, and because of that, they're expendable. If some of them, to get as much quote-unquote product out of their bodies as possible, requires that you make the conditions, you put so little money into the conditions that they're a lot of them are not in a healthy state, and a lot of them end up dying on their way to the slaughterhouse before, quote unquote, they can be useful. It's still worth it from the business's perspective, because after all, it's just units of production, completely interchangeable, fungible, expendable, whatever word you want to use. So as a consequence of this, on that day, the activists were laid out, they put their hands in concrete in some suitcase that they filled up with concrete that was very, very difficult to take their hands out of, and very difficult to move. It was very cumbersome. They did that on purpose, obviously. They laid down right there on the street in the entrance to the slaughterhouse. And during that time, a lot of people gathered and were giving chants, kind of like today. You can see there's hundreds of people in line marching all the way to the Supreme Court. And during that time, there was obviously a lot of frustration expressed by people who own the slaughterhouse, by the police who came. And I believe it was either the owner of the slaughterhouse or someone very high up found one of the chickens who was already dead inside the truck, which he would have known that that's a completely normal, quote-unquote, thing to happen in this industry, that a lot of chickens die from heat exhaustion or from thirst on their way because of the horrific conditions that they're kept in. But he saw this chicken and he threw their body onto the activists who were lying on the ground. So threw the body of the chicken onto the activists and said, "Look what you did. Look what you did. You killed me." And in Korean, Korean has kind of different pronouns than English. But I can bet you if that person had been speaking in English on that day, he would have said it instead of him, her, or they. I'm gonna get some water real quick. Alright, I'm back. I got my water. So here we are in South Korea. We're walking to the Supreme Court. But let me keep telling the story. So this owner of the slaughterhouse, or someone high up, throws the body of the chicken and says, "Look, you killed this chicken. It's your fault." And if I was in that situation, if I was the activist that was on the ground and I was trying to draw attention to the issue, I might have argued back, and I might have said something like, "No, I didn't. You know very well that the way that these chickens are kept, a lot of them are already dead on arrival. A lot of them are already, they're treated so horrifically that they're already dead before they can get to the slaughterhouse. So, you know, we had no effect on this situation. Our holding up the entrance didn't do anything to cause the death of that chicken. Maybe I would have argued something like that. But at the time, the activist said something I think even more profound. She basically looked up and said, yeah, that's right, we killed this chicken. We humans killed this chicken. And what she did in that moment was to basically acknowledge the responsibility that kind of all of us have for having been born as humans on this planet right now, to being not without necessarily feeling a sense of guilt, but feeling some type of sense of responsibility to make things right about this situation. And I was very moved when she said this, because I would have said something very different. I think
There's a car.
여러분, 오늘은 안에 안 들어가고 밖에서 해봅시다.
I think we're gonna do another speech, I think, right now. So give me just 1 second. Oh yeah. Thank you, Robert, for listening to the story. I think if I had a little more time, I'd be able to flesh it out more. No, it was a really profound thing to say. So I'm going to step forward and show us a little bit. We have a speech that's happening right now. This is an activist named Adong Shin, and she does incredible work in a lot of different work. She does animal rights liberation work, as well as she also does work related to immigrant and migrant workers and other people who have difficulties with immigration status because of being discriminated against immigration status in South Korea. So she has gone out and been alone on the street in some cases, even standing out there for some specific people who have been treated really, really badly in detention centers that are meant for quote-unquote foreigners who need to be quote-unquote protected. And you know, I think most people who hear language like foreigner protection center, if you're getting suspicious by how that sounds, you're right. It's a euphemism. It's a very what's the right word? It's a paternalistic word for a place where you can find, sometimes indefinitely, people who are not South Korean citizens and are not necessarily treated very well. There's a very, very horrific situation where one person who was confined there at the time was tortured. Basically, was put into a stress position, which is absolutely torture for an extended period of time. And Adong, who's this activist here, who does a lot of legal work together with some of the defendants in the situation, she went out and defended them, and as well as a lot of animal rights related work too. Because at the end of the day, the confinement of humans and the confinement of animals, a lot of it comes from the same mentality, the same idea of paternalism, we know what's better for this person, and we want to use this person for our own needs, so we're going to restrict how they can move, and restrict how they can act. So a lot of people have been involved in this movement, especially in South Korea, are really, really involved in a lot of other social justice work throughout the country. Hi everyone, if you're just joining me, my name's Jake and I live here in South Korea. I'm a friend with several activists who are out here today. Let me get a view. We are in Seoul, South Korea, in the neighborhood of Gangnam, which is maybe people know Gangnam Style, a very, very famous song. And we've got hundreds of people lined up here in Gangnam. Woo! And we are going to be marching all the way to the Supreme Court of South Korea. So we're going to keep walking a little bit more. Thank you so much. I see some more people checking in. It looks like Jenny, Severa, and Tsering association, but I'm so grateful and so thankful that you're checking in to see what we're doing. And if you have time at all, if you're interested, you can get involved in this stuff too, wherever you're living. In South Korea, there was nothing. There was no group like DHC. And then in 2019, several people got together and said, hey, why don't we try this out? Things are too urgent to not be sitting by and doing anything. I just passed the lead organizer of this protest today. Oh, she's behind me. Oh, where'd she go? Hi. Do you want to say anything?
오늘 300명 모였다.
아, 진짜? 그래? 오늘 주민공회 고향은 200명을 쓰자고 했으니까 이거 두 배로 이제 그래 300명 넘었는 거면 그래 알려줄게. 대박이다. We have over 300 people, I'm told, by Eun-young, who is our head activist, or our lead organizer and the head planner of this protest today. So we were at first, we didn't know how many people would show up. We just put out some information about it, and lo and behold, just hundreds of people are here showing up, way more than we predicted. You might see our description, it says only 200 people, but they blew past our expectations by over 100. And here we are in Gangnam, South Korea, marching all the way to the Supreme Court of South Korea. 공무해방! I took part in the chat. What we're yelling right now is animal liberation. We are marching all the way to the Supreme Court. I found something interesting about if you might hear this word 동물. 동물 means animal in Korean. One thing that people might think is interesting is that the word for animal in Korean, it breaks down to meaning, it has a root word in it that has to do with movement, which I think is similar to English because animal, that animate part, is like in the word animation. It has to do with movement. So I think all across the world in different cultures, people all the way back when they were coming up with words to come how to describe the world, they noticed that movement, I guess, is an important part of for a lot of animals, and that's how they came together. Just kind of a fun fact about the language. But I think there is something really profound about the fact that a lot of animals that move around, a lot of them move around in different ways. They have their own ways of moving or their own restrictions to how they move. And a lot of activists here in South Korea in the animal rights movement are actually very, very close working together with disability liberation activists in South Korea. Now I think is a good time to talk a little bit more about, for anyone who joined us at the start and saw the speech by a prominent disabilities activist here, I want to give a little bit more background about them because their work is so incredible. There's several different groups, but one of them that came today is a group called 전상현, which I'll have to look up what they're called in English, or if they have a like an official translation for their name. But they're committed to direct action specifically for disability liberation issues. So one of the many types of things that they do is lockdowns and disruptive actions in the public transport system here in Seoul. A really, really famous event happened actually pretty recently where trying to argue for more accessibility and to show that there are still major accessibility problems in South Korea for just normal citizens or just everyday citizens who are trying to get to where they want to go just like anyone else but aren't given the accessibility that they need right now. This group works in the tradition of direct action where they go and they block subways, they'll block buses and argue that if some people in our community can't go to places, then no one can go, at least for today while we're doing this action because we need to draw attention to it. But something really incredible happened and I think it's one reason why DXC South Korea is so inspired by them. A lot of people might think, oh, you're just going to make people angry. Sure, I think it's good to give accessibility to more people, but if you go and you block the subway, I don't know, that's just going to make people angry and make them look badly at your system, at your approach and your organization. But what ends up happening is that this group got an enormous amount of media attention recently, so much so that the head of their group, who's an activist named Kong Park, he actually went on and did a debate, a live televised debate with the head of the party, the conservative right-leaning party that's currently the president of South Korea is of that party, and did a debate with the head of that party on live television. So those types of actions get you a place where you're able to talk and put yourself out there on the public stage and talk about the justness of your cause and of the injustice of what's happening right now. And an amazing poll came out that found, when they asked people, hey, what do you think about this type of activism? You know, is it annoying? Does it bother you? What do you think of the cause? Over 50%, so a majority of respondents in this Korean poll said, if there's problems right now with the system, then it makes sense that they're doing this, and it's the government's responsibility to fix the situation, to give better accessibility so that they can get what they want. So a majority of respondents in this poll in South Korea basically affirmed the idea of direct action. They eventually saw that, sure, at the beginning there were some disruptions and people were annoyed and people were upset. Some people, maybe they couldn't go to a party that they wanted to that day, or they got delayed. But at the end of the day, when people looked into it, and when the activists who did this work got the chance to go on the national stage and argue their case, a majority of people ended up coming from their side. So it's a really incredible story, and we're really, really optimistic for the prospects of the disabilities movement here in South Korea. And they are very, very supportive of DXC South Korea, which is why their leader came, or one of their lead organizers, one of their lead activists came and sang multiple songs. For anyone who was tuning in at the beginning, you might have seen it. So it's really just this wonderful moment of solidarity where he recognizes the importance of animal liberation, and a lot of the activists here in South Korea recognize the importance of disability liberation and the importance of specifically taking direct action, whether it's marches, whether it's civil disobedience, whether it's disruptions, to draw attention to a cause that's being ignored by the majority of society. And it works. So that's why today, for anyone who's just checking in right now, we're actually walking all the way to the Supreme Court of South Korea. Let me get another good view of activists here. And I keep saying activists, I don't want anyone to think, definitely, I don't want anyone to think, oh, I have to have done activism for 10 years, and I have to get really, really involved before I can come out and come on the street like this. A lot of people who are here today, maybe it's their first time coming out for the first time, and they just saw the Facebook updates, and they saw some of the stories of what DXC Korea does, and were inspired and said, hey, you know what? I just want to come out and support. I work full time, or I'm currently spending most of the time raising my children, or I'm a student. And so many diverse people from all different walks of life here in Seoul are coming out to show support, which I think is incredible. And we're really, really excited, I think, to see how much things are going to grow in the future. So we're currently walking all the way to the Supreme Court. I'm going to take 1 second to check for any status updates, so I can forward them all to you guys. But thank you so much for everybody who's been checking in. I know, especially in the West right now, or the Western Hemisphere, it's pretty late at night. But let me get you a view of everyone in front. I mean, as you can see, there's just a ton of people here. Alright, I'm going to check in for status updates real quick, but thanks everyone for checking in. Let's see. Alright everyone, let me show you guys a little bit more of the march itself. I don't want to just keep guys looking at me the whole time. Let me turn this around real quick. We have over 300 activists who are right now walking to the Supreme Court in the Great March. I'm going to get us around right here. I think what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to walk us all the way up to the front so we can see what it looks like from the front. I think that'll be a really cool thing for everyone to look at. So we are in South Korea right now, over 300 activists. Over 300 activists right now are walking to the Supreme Court of South Korea. Oh. Let me turn it around because we're going to see something really cool right now. All right, so here's the march we've been part of the whole time. All the way from the front. Just so you get a view of just how many people are here today. It's over 300 people. And right now on the side, we've got a speech. So here's our live streamer for today. I'm just taking a little bit of time to cover for our live streamer right now. Oh, yeah. And here we are standing in front of a Burger King in South Korea, of all places, on our way to the Supreme Court. I see someone's joined from Surprise, Arizona. Well, what a pleasant surprise to see someone. Oh, I'm sorry, you might get that joke all the time. But here we are. Thank you so much for joining, and if you'd like to share this info to other people, it would be great to have more people checking out. So here's a view of the whole march, and we are walking all the way to the Supreme Court of South Korea. But right now we stopped for a bit for a speech. The current activist who's talking, her name is Boyan. She's talking about how we're living in a world that's unable to see really what's going on, unable to see the reality. And of course, in this case, she's talking about the reality of how animals are treated. So yeah, she's talking about how right now she's talking about just how cruelly non-human animals right now are treated, how horrifically they have to live, just for very, very superficial reasons, for reasons that really don't make any sense when we think about it. I mean, why are we living in this world right now? Yeah, she's making a really, really good point right now. Because a lot of people might think about how we treat animals and say something like, hey, well, we're predators. Isn't that just what we do? And the question she has for them is, what kind of predator locks up thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of animals, confines them in a place where they can't live freely, doesn't give them, the sufficient food, the sufficient resources that they need to grow fully, just enough for their bodies to be used as product, quote unquote. What kind of predator does that? What kind of? I think it's a very important point. What we're doing right now, for anyone who thinks that it's something natural or that it's something right, because it's natural, it's not the case. What we're doing on this planet is horrific, and it's so clear that it's going to be seen as what it is in the future. So I think that was a really, really great point that Boyan made. Right now she's talking a little bit about some of the rights that we're going to be demanding here in South Korea and all the way around the world. These 300 activists that are here in Seoul right now, they're all here to demand it. The right for animals to live freely, the right for animals to not be killed, the right for animals to be able to live in a habitat or in some kind of home where they can have the freedom that honestly we all know if we've lived with a dog, if we've lived with a fish, one that we all
마지막
recognize.
열쇠가 되어줄 것입니다.
And finally, she's wrapping up by talking about the importance of direct action itself.
모든 동물 소비
Direct action
사업을
being
철폐하고
just going into the sites of slaughter, into the sites of torture, recording it, filming it, disrupting it, getting attention to it,
재산이 아닌
so that we can actually challenge the system and do partly of what other social justice groups have done in South Korea, like the disabilities liberation movement that I spoke about a bit before,
동물 대 동물로
to actually get attention to this issue that at the end of the day, all of us really are going to agree on when you really get down to the question.
안에 해방을 이뤄낼 것입니다.
So Goyang is talking about how DXE is going to achieve animal liberation in one generation through this type of action. And I should say something about Goyang. She's a very, very talented musician. She has a background in punk rock and in all kinds of really, really cool music. So if anyone has a chance to come to Korea and see some of her performances, on top of her amazing activism work and her amazing speeches, she's a crazy, great activist too, or a great musician. So I was really, really so excited to hear her speech. All right, I think we're gonna keep on walking on. And I think I see, oh yeah, Robert, thank you so much for chiming in. For anyone who's joining from, you could be joining from Arizona, you could be joining from Florida, you could be joining from anywhere in the US, you could be joining from Australia, you could be joining from India, you could be joining from Nigeria. There are organizations where you live where you can get involved and where you can start doing this kind of work to help generate the change that's going to need to happen and start generating the group that we're going to need, the number of people that are needed to actually get change to happen. So for anyone just joining in, yeah, I would just encourage, look in the area that you're in, see what kinds of activities you can get involved in, or if there's not anything there, see what you can get started. So for anyone just checking in, I'm here in South Korea, in Seoul. We're in Gangnam. Maybe some of you might know Gangnam Style, that really famous song. It's about a part of Seoul, a part of South Korea that we're in right now. And we have, let me turn this around. I'm going to walk backwards for a bit. We have 300 activists and community members who are all assembled here right now to call for animal liberation. And you can see, if you look in the background, we have, let me explain some of these placards right now. Actually, I'm going to back up a little bit. If you look on the side, this is actually a march that they applied for ahead of time. So kind of like Pride, the Pride March, which happens every summer in South Korea. When you apply for this, the police actually, they clear a road to walk in. So that's why there's so many police officers right now walking around. Fortunately, we're not expecting any kind of conflict. When we get to the Supreme Court, there should be some really, really interesting speeches and actions. But now I'm a little bit backwards, so you guys can see what the march looks like from the side. In fact, I'm going to go back even farther. And as you can see, we have some participants have brought non-human animal friends. I don't know if you can see, there's a dog down there who's joined the march. Always great to see friends of all different species joining in. And I'm going to stand all the way over here so we can get a good view. So this is normally just a very, and it's still a very busy part of the street. And as you're looking around Gangnam, here's the march. So I'm going to stand and camp out here just for a little bit so we can watch everybody come by. What do these words say, you might wonder? It says 동물권, 동물권리 장정, which means the Animal Bill of Rights, which is what the activists today are fighting for. 300 and more of them are here today. You might see them holding placards, signs. These flags up here are actually flags of different organizations that have done solidarity work with South Korea, including right here. This is the Dawn Sanctuary. Dawn's name in Korean is Saebyeolgi. and he kind of really does represent the dawn of the radical animal rights movement here in South Korea, because he was the first pig to ever be rescued in this way and taken to the first sanctuary, which is founded in his name. So the story of Dawn is just extremely important and extremely foundational to this chapter's history. Oh, you can do Okay. Some of these other flags up here, you can see the big blue DXC flag. So that's DXC Korea's big flag. Let me see if I can make out. I'm going to walk forward a little bit so we can get a better view. For anyone just joining in right now, we are in, and I'll turn us around in just a second. For anyone just joining in right now, we are in Seoul, South Korea. If you see this video, share it with your friends. It's happening in real time, really late at night here today, or late at night for anyone in the Western Hemisphere. It's just a Saturday afternoon. I'm going to walk out the speaker for a bit. Yeah, we are in South Korea. We have 300 activists and community members who are all out here showing their support. You might wonder, okay, what are these big red banners in front? And each of them represents a different article of the Animal Bill of Rights. So if anyone's really curious about that, you can go and look up Animal Bill of Rights, Rose's Law, on the internet. They're translated into Korean here, and down the road we're expecting there's going to be a lot of work to actually get people thinking about these laws, get people thinking about, okay, what we think morally about non-human animals is not being reflected in the law right now, and we're going to get these amendments in the law. So here come all the activists coming back. We are marching all the way to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court, South Korea, of course, not of any other country. You might have heard an activist with a megaphone just walked past, saying the chants together with everyone. So it's a really great day. It's a great day with lots of weather, and you can see there's people who've brought their families and people who've brought their kids. I think it's so important to show that the animal liberation movement, I mean, it's one that anyone can join. It's one that involves all of us. It's one that we all have a responsibility to be looking into. At the very least, I think it's my personal thought. We're still walking over.
여러분 표정 나오는 게 훨씬 좋다니까 사진팀이 촬영팀이요. 촬영 좋아하시는 분들은 촬영 가능하신 분들은 마스크를 잠깐 내려주시면 여러분 해방운동에 사진 하나가 굉장히 큰 도움이 되거든요. 우리는 진지한 얼굴을 보여주도록 합시다. 가능하신
So the
분들은요.
leader right now has just asked a lot of people who are interested in having their faces shown in any kind of photographs or videos, maybe lower their masks if they're comfortable and if they want to, so that we can get a good view of everyone's smiling faces, because while we are dealing with a horrific reality of how animals are treated right now, today is a bit of a day of a celebration. It's a day where we're celebrating how many people have gotten together today. It's a day where we're celebrating that the activists' case related to what they did to block the entrance to the slaughterhouse non-violently 3 years ago, how it's made it all the way to the Supreme Court, which has decided to accept their case. So it really is, in some ways, a happy day.
엄청나게 고생하고 있어요. 정리만 해주면 좋을 것 같습니다.
Yeah, we really do have a ton of people right now. We have over 300 activists. It's just blown past our expectations for how many people would be here
오늘
today.
폴리스 라인 여기가 여기 섰는데 여기까지 행진이고 우리가 대법원 앞까지 행진이 아니라 대법원 앞에서 기자회견이에요. 왜냐면 저희들의 케이스가 있기 때문에.
So the lead activist right now is actually explaining how this is the end of the march officially. If anyone can see over here, the police, we must be very close to the Supreme Court. Yeah, so right now the police have put up some lines saying, okay, this is the end of the official march that you applied for. But right now we're going to do a press conference related to the specific case. This is what the lead activist is saying right now. Alright, so the last speech, we have another activist here named Didi Mar. Didi Mar is also a musician, along with doing some of the activist work that they do here. There's really all kinds of incredible work, and they're about to give a speech.
마침내
Let me try and get a good
이곳에 모이게
view.
되었습니다. 이곳에 모이게 된 우리는 각자가 소중하게 생각하는 것을 지키기 위해서 이 자리에 모인 것입니다.
So he's talking about just the importance of how many people and just the meaning of how so many people have come together today.
그것은 끝도 없는 차별과 폭력입니다. 우리 인간들이 만들어낸 이 끔찍한 현실입니다. 우리가 끔찍한 일을 저지르도록 머리통에 겨녀진 형체 없는 살상무기입니다. 우리는 알고 있습니다. 수많은 돼지들 중 오직 훔친 돼지만이 살아남았다는 것을 알고 있습니다.
So Didi right now is talking about a really, really important the rescue of Dawn, who, if anyone's just coming in, you might not have heard the story. The first openly rescued pig in South Korea, his name was Dawn. And the name of the book that DXC Korea published, actually, and it's sold really well, it's gotten a lot of attention in South Korea. The name of the book that tells the story of the rescue of Dawn, it translated in English to Only the Stolen Pig Survived. So if anyone just takes a little bit to think about what that title means, it really goes to show how horrific the situation is that we've created as humans right now. One where the only pigs that survive, the only pigs that aren't tortured and mutilated and killed, are the ones that are quote-unquote stolen, quote-unquote illegally taken out, where they're being abused. So if anyone, I think eventually this book is going to get translated into English and maybe Japanese, Chinese, I think as well. So, you know, once it gets published, we'll make sure that people hear about it. So keep it on your radar. Only the Stolen Pig Survived, which is one of the fact that Didi Mar, the activist, just mentioned. Right now, Didi Mar is talking about how we're going to do non-violent direct action. That's how everyone is going to be liberated. That's how everyone is going to struggle and resist against systems of violence and oppression all the way until the end. Which is very inspiring thing to say, and you can see how much has activated all the activists. And it's true. I mean, this is the type of action. This is just the beginning. Obviously, things are going to get much bigger. There's going to be a lot more and more challenging of these systems. But these systems, which are just truly horrific in how they work, they deserve to be challenged. They deserve to have non-violent, huge movements that are taking direct action to challenge them. All right, I think we're going to be walking over towards... All right, yeah, so the march has officially ended, but it's not the end of the day. So everyone who's still watching, stay tuned. There's going to be, I think, a press conference happening very close to the Supreme Court. So we are in Seoul, South Korea. We've been walking all the way from Gangnam to where this march started, and we're at the Supreme Court of South Korea. So we're going to be walking over there in just a bit. Let me go and check in and see how everyone else is doing. I'm gonna check my phone real briefly for some status updates, but there's gonna be a lot of really interesting things to see in a little bit. So stay tuned, and thanks so much for anyone who's joining in, especially if because of your time difference, it's very far away, or it's very late at night for you. Okay, let me just check.
How many people? 3 people.
Okay. Oh, this is Haru. Haru's does a lot of really neat work. Haru does documentary filmmaking as well as music, and has done some really incredible work related to animal liberation and a lot of other social justice issues. So thanks so much, Haru, for joining.
Thank you.
Yeah. I would love to share, or let me see what else. I'm gonna just check a little bit more on status updates. Okay, great. I think we're just gonna keep on moving smoothly. So I'm gonna just follow all the activists up here. We are walking up towards, we must at this point be at the Supreme Court of South Korea, which is the final, or the destination of the march today. As you can see there, we blew past the expectations for how many people would sign up. There are over 300 people today who have come and are here in solidarity with the activists who have gone on trial at the Supreme Court for having taken direct action in 2019 to block the entrance to a slaughterhouse. And as you can see, we have just a ton of people out here today, even more people in front of me. I'm gonna cross the crosswalk real quick. Don't wanna stand in the crosswalk. Yeah, as you can see, because this is a march that the activists applied for, we have the police are out here kind of making sure that cars can get past. Because today's march is mostly to highlight previous disruptive direct action that activists have done. So far today, it's kind of, we're following along. Oh, there goes Goyang. You might have seen in the car just then. She's our main live streamer for today, but got a little busy. So I've just been, I'm a friend of theirs. I live in South Korea and have been working here for a while now. So I'm just a friend who came, and they asked me to tell a little bit of their story. So yeah, I'm more than happy to be doing it. So let me see if I can get us any good information about what's going on next. Let me get another vantage point so everyone can see. So we're on this little kind of triangle block, and you can see a lot of activists here. And in the back, it just goes on and on and on. So many people came and showed support today. And please, anyone who's just joining or staying on, stay on the line. There are going to be some really interesting things happening soon. I guess I can talk a little bit about where we are right now. We started walking from Gangnam Station, which is a really well-known train station, or subway station, I should say. And it's part of Gangnam, which is a neighborhood in South Korea that a lot of people have the impression of as being, and I mean they're not wrong, being kind of a fancy place. There's that really famous song Gangnam Style that kind of parodied that sense that it has. But a lot of activists here think it's pretty important to go to places like that, places where things are the most fancy, where things are the most pretty and well put together. Because really the reality of the society that we're in right now in South Korea, in the United States, in Australia, in China, just all over the world, is absolutely horrific. And it's being covered up by these things. Oh, we have some activists here. 할 말이 있어? 할 말이 있어? We have some activists here who have been recording and doing all types of.
우리가 얼마나 멋있는지 화면에 다 담기지 않아서 안타깝다.
Ah, so Taryeon is an activist here and says that as much as I've been trying hard to show everything. Obviously, it's not the same as being here in person. So it's a shame that you won't be able to see just how big and just how great this march has been and how cool. Oh, but altogether it was a. Oh yeah, 그거 얘기해도 돼?
근데 난 말을 못해.
그거 괜찮아. So right now I'm actually with Seoul, not Seoul like the city, but I guess SOL. And 잠깐만. I'm going to turn the camera so that it faces her. So Seoul is an activist here with DXC Korea, and she is actually one of the 4 who laid down on the concrete that day to block the slaughterhouse. So she is actually technically one of the defendants in this case at the Supreme Court, which I just think is incredible. I mean, I saw the videos. Anyone can look up and see the videos of the actual action, and maybe if you see, you'll recognize her face. So I got to meet her after she did that, and I was just so in awe that someone could have the bravery to do something like that. It's physically dangerous. I mean, you don't know if people can get angry at those times and do something violent. So she was really putting her body on the line to draw attention to this injustice. So I guess I'm really personally really thankful. And let's see if she wants to say anything. 뭔가 뭐 할 말이 있어? 통역도 해줄 수 있고 아니면 뭐 영어로 얘기해도 상관없고.
오늘은 그냥 사진 촬영 담당이고 3년 전에 그렇게 했던 게 벌써 3년이 지난 게 감회가 너무 새롭고 그렇다.
Okay. So today Seoul is actually, her main responsibility has been photos and taking videos. She's a really, really talented photographer on top of all the other work that she does. And being here today and kind of witnessing, and we're going towards the Supreme Court right now, so having all those feelings come back of that day, it's just, she's kind of living it all over again, and it's a very, very powerful experience it must be for her.
그리고 나 오늘 그때 입었던 옷 입고 왔다고.
진짜? And 진짜? 대박이다. So, and the shirt that she's wearing today, our dress code for the march has been red and black. So red shirts and black. I've got my black shirt, and this red shirt is the same shirt that she wore on that day when she lied down on the floor in front of the slaughterhouse. So, I mean, for anyone who's watching right now and thinks like, I don't know like if this is the right thing to do, or I don't know if this is something that I can do. I mean, we just have so many people that have been really, really brave and are an inspiration to everyone.
촬영하러 다시 갈게.
그래. 여기 그래 영감을 많이 받았다고 많은 사람들이 하고 있어.
감사하다고.
Yeah. I think Robert says that everyone is an inspiration to us around the world, and Seoul says thank you so much for that. And I think she has to go and take more pictures, so I'll let her go right now. 잘 가. Yeah, so I mean, I think that it's just it's so great to talk to all of the different activists here, because all of them have their own stories of how they got involved. All of them have their own different ways that they've contributed to this movement. And I mean, I just feel so personally honored to have been able to befriend a lot of them and help out in the ways that I can. Like today, where I guess I found myself just doing some of the camera work for some time. I think Boyoung is going to come back and maybe do a little bit more of it, but I'm really happy to. And yeah, Robert says thank you for taking action for our chicken friends, and it's true. For anyone who would laugh at a phrase like that, chicken friends, what's wrong with you? It really takes getting to know individual chickens and getting to meet them, because we're not given the opportunity to understand them for who they are in the world that we live in right now, because of how horribly commodified and brutalized they are. And that has to be the case for them to be brutalized the way they are. So I really would encourage people to find sanctuaries near where you live, find opportunities to go to vigils, and really be able to witness chickens for who they are. But now I'm gonna take us a little bit over, because we are here, right here. If you can see, this is the Supreme Court in South Korea. I haven't actually been this close to a Supreme Court building for any country.
맞나요? 맞다.
Okay.
여러분 안쪽까지 들어가 볼게요.
15%인데.
대법원 앞이 이렇게 협소합니다.
근데 마이크로폰은
제가 안 지었어요.
아 이제 충전을 할 수. 대박이다. Alright, we're setting up right now for.
아이고,
I'm gonna take a step back because we're about to do a bit of
여러분
a.
안에 한번 들어가 볼게요. 우리 여기서 누울 수 있을까요?
We're gonna do a little bit.
서로
아,
부딪히면
진짜?
안 되는데.
그래도 안 하는 것보다 낫겠지?
일단 안쪽으로 들어갔다가 대열
We're just
맞춰서
setting up
조금씩
for the,
앞으로 넣어볼게요.
지금 되고 있다. Alright, cool. Looks like we're all set up right now for the. And here, Goyoung is actually back. Goyoung did some really cool speeches.
Really?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And now, so now we're gonna 오늘 각도를 보게 하는 게
You know,
좋을까?
the police are calling us Roses Law Organization now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So the police are referring not as direct action everywhere, but calling
여러분 다
Roses
들어오셨나요?
Law, the Roses Law Organization.
들어오셨나요?
Which, I mean, it's good that people are learning about Rose's Law. It's going to be very, very important in the future.
다 들어오셨나?
So here we are standing. I definitely want you guys to be able to see
이제
in
안으로
front of us,
들어가셨던
because here we
분들
are.
앞으로 좀 나와보실게요.
I mean, this right now here is.
교통선생님 엄청 많다.
We have to step back because we know it's there.
야,
Oh,
교통선생님
okay.
진짜 많다. 저기 앞까지.
We're gonna find a
왜냐면
good
우리
angle.
다이인 퍼포먼스 할 거거든요. 리본 있으신 분들 흔들어 보세요. 리본 있다.
Okay, good. We're about to do a little bit of a performance. We have 300 activists are
멈추실
here
필요는
around.
없는데 안에
we're
들어가신
going
분들
to
앞으로 더
recreate, I
나오실게요.
one of the scenes. Yeah, we're gonna
여러분
just
넘어지실 때
do kind of
누우실 때
a
서로 너무
as
부딪히지
close as we
않게
can to a
하지만
shot
너무
by
우리가
shot
자리 보고 눕지
remake, I guess, if you could call it,
너무 자리
of some
보고
of the
눕는
actions that
느낌은
have happened, so
없게.
people can get an idea for what happened.
물론 안전은 중요하지만 이거 여기가 나 누울 자리네
그래서 저쪽으로
하는 거
향하는 게
말고
좋겠지?
좀 멋있게
그래서 저쪽을 향하는 게
여러분
좋겠지?
다시
인형 말고?
한번 제가 가이드를
아,
드릴게요.
알았어. So
리본을
here's 인형 over
마지막
here.
부분을 잡고 마지막 부분을 잡고
Inyoung right now is preparing the activists for the demonstration.
여기 정현님 보이시죠?
So you can see a lot of people have ribbons.
팔목 말고 팔목에 하면 힘들더라고. 손에 걸치는 게 좋아. 네, 명일처럼 저렇게 이렇게 하고 높이 던지면서 죽으시면 돼요. 죽으시면 되는데 이게 우리의 핏줄기예요. 핏줄기. 보여줄 거고
So these red ribbons are
어느
representing
부분에
blood
넘어지시면 되냐면
flying out
누우시면
and blood that
되냐면
is streaming.
제가 이렇게 말할
Because
거예요.
unfortunately, just as the nature.
그리고 우리는 알고 있습니다. 한 다음에 하나, 둘, 셋. 세상 모든 것이 도살장입니다. 하면 누우시면 돼요. 제가
So she's telling the activists to say.
도살장이다.
What?
아시죠? 세상 모든 것이 도살장입니다.
인형?
하면 누우시면 되고요.
Everyone in
그리고 제가
Korean chapter.
뭐라고 할 거냐면 우리는 정직하게 행동을 요구하고 있습니다.
Oh, and
우리는
Inyoung as
행동할
well.
것입니다.
Oh, because I've assumed it, or I think
일어나시면 돼요.
Inyoung used to use she, but okay. No, thanks for updating.
네, 촬영팀
Yeah, so they
우리
are
두번 할 거예요. 한 번만 할 거예요.
now, and
어쩔
you
수
as well.
없어요.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, because in Korean actually there aren't
도살장이다
gendered
하고
pronouns, but
던지고 눕는 거예요. 던지면서 눕는 게
So it makes
아니라
more sense to use they,
던지고 눕습니다. 그리고
from
정리 코치는 위험할 수
Korean,
있으니까 우리가 갖고
people's
있습니다.
perspective.
던지지 말고. 연습 한번 보여주신대요. 누가? 명일이? 네, 좋아요. 명일 해보세요. 모든 것이 도살장입니다.
Oh, okay, yeah.
멋있어.
So one activist
멋있어.
named Myung-yu just demonstrated throwing the ribbon
아니요, 바로
into the sky
도살장입니다 하면 던지시고
and then
누우시고.
falling down to do kind of a die-in style performance.
네, 여기 뒤에여서 잘 카메라. 여러분 가볼게요. 이곳이 어딥니까, 여러분? 어디라고요?
대법원!
맞습니다. 우리가 드디어 대법원에 당도했습니다. 여러분,
Alright,
우리가
so she's saying that
그냥
we've gotten to
현장
the,
아니 대법원에 그냥
we've gotten
모였습니까?
to the Supreme Court. So
맞습니다. 우리는 이곳 대법원까지
어.
오기까지의 수많은 현장들이 우리 앞에 있었습니다.
she's talking about how
이곳 도심에서 멀지 않는 곳에 그 시설들이 있습니다.
she's talking about how
우리는
As we
시설들을 기어코 찾아갔고 보았습니다.
she's talking about how there
생사를 뚫고 찢어내는 끔찍한 고문 기구가 있었습니다.
There are horrific
수천
locations
수만을
of torture and
말살해버리는
confinement
학살 체계가
that are not
있었습니다.
even that far from here.
피와
As the course is
고름이 강과
referring to
바다같습니다. 기병과 절규가 가득합니다.
places filled with
냉수가
screams
가득했습니다.
and just
이기적인
horrific things
욕망이
happening.
가득했습니다. 축산업의 거대 자본이 저기 저 외딴 곳에
So in that
철옹성을
place,
높게
in those
세우고
places
지주해
that are so
있었습니다.
far,
그리고 우리는 알고 있습니다.
and she's saying,
세상
everyone
모든
knows
것이 도살장입니다.
the entire world is a slaughterhouse.
찾아간 현장에서 만나고
The world
관계
that we're in
맺은
right now,
이들이 있습니다.
The entire world is in
활동가들
fact a
앞에서
slaughterhouse.
목이 비틀린 여름이가 있었습니다. 도살장 앞을 몇
You can
번이고
see the
가로막은
activists have lied
활동가들
down.
앞에 내던져진 구름이가 있었습니다.
She's telling the story
농장
right now.
안에서 값어치를 못한다며 짓밟힌 채 구조된 장미와 이슬이가 있었습니다.
Oh.
가까스로 공개 구조된
we have
새벽이와
some smoke pictures
머리와
right now.
별이가 있었습니다. 훔친 돼지만이, 훔친 새벽이만이 살아남았지만 살릴 수 없었던 이들이 있었습니다.
So Inyoung is right now talking
어쩔 수
about
없다고 생각하지
several of the
않습니다.
animals that activists have
어쩔
come
수
across
없다고
during
생각하길
their
바라는
actions
것이
here.
축산업의 목표입니다.
There's a
활동가들을
chicken
말합니다.
named Cloud.
우리는
Actually, that was the chicken for
행동합니다.
anyone who was
이러한
listening before,
축산업은 더
who
이상
I mentioned
지속되어서는 안
on the
됩니다.
day of the slaughterhouse
법안은
lockdown. He was already
무수적입니다.
dead when they arrived at
사안은
the slaughterhouse.
하지만 우리는
And
알고
his body was
있습니다.
tossed, was thrown by an
우리는
owner of the
서로의 손을
slaughterhouse
부여잡고
onto the body
그 팔 위에
of one of the activists who was lying
200kg의
down.
콘크리트를 덮고
So that
도살장 앞을
chicken
바로
was
막아야만
later given the
했습니다.
name Cloud.
그렇게 하지
And
않으면
you can see
누구도
over there,
그 현장에
there's
대해서
a pig,
이야기하지
and that in
않습니다.
fact is
생각하지 않습니다.
Dawn.
축산업이 그렇게
That's a
만든
photo of
것입니다.
Dawn who was grown alive and was
마땅히
found
알아야 할 것을 알지 못하게,
in the
마땅히
Dawn
손이
sanctuary.
높여야 할 것을 이야기하지 못하게,
There's a lot of
마땅히
smoke.
행동해야 할
from
것을
the
행동하지
flare right
못하게 속여낸 것입니다. 죽인 것입니다. 입을 틀어 먹은 것입니다. 괜찮다고 한 것입니다. 입에 물려 먹인 것입니다. 축산업이 그렇게 만든 것입니다.
So she was just describing
이
about
부당함을 알기에 우리는 더욱더 멈추지 않을 것입니다. 축산업은 감추는 데에만 급급할 것입니다.
sorry.
동물권리 장전 재판의
We were at the
시작은
Supreme
3년 전
Court of South
콘크리트
Korea,
같이
and I
단단한
apologize, I
활동가들의
just had
용기로
some smoke that came
시작했습니다.
into my eyes, but I'm
다른
turned around and
존재에게
facing right
값어치를
now.
매기며 그
So we are
삶을 유린하고
assembled right now
도산에
at
나갈
the
때에
Supreme Court
동물을
in South
소유하는
Korea.
물건으로 여기는 시혜적이고 기만적인 법을
And a lot of
이야기할
activists,
때에
it's been over
우리는
300
한국
locations
최초로
today, have done a
다름
trial.
아닌 축산업의 범죄를 법원에
And you
올린
can see them all on the
것입니다.
ground as
그러한
the lead
세상에서
organizers proclaimed that
우리는
this entire
정직하게
world that we live in
행동으로
right now
요구하고 있습니다.
is in fact a slaughterhouse.
여러분,
No matter how
우리는
pretty the areas that we're at,
행동할
it's only hiding the reality.
것입니다.
And now we're talking
다시
about how
한번 우리는 행동할 것입니다. 우리는 행동할 것입니다.
now we're going
우리는
to take
한
action.
세대 안에 우리는 한 세대 안에 우리는 한 세대 안에 우리는 한 세대 안에 동물 해방을 이룰 것입니다. 동물 해방을 이룰 것입니다. 다시 한번 할게요. 우리는 한 세대 안에 우리는 한 세대 안에 동물 해방을
It
이룰
says
것입니다.
we're going to achieve animal liberation in one generation.
축산업의 본때를 보여주고 말 것입니다. 무시하고 묵인하고 감춰내고 짓밟혀내는
We're saying that we're unable to
동의하는 모든
ignore,
것들에 대해 DFC는
to turn a blind eye to, or I suppose to ignore, that's just a better
어떠한
phrase,
선례를 남길 것입니까?
to refuse to acknowledge
어떠한 선례를 남기더라도 그 선례가
the reality
얼마나
of what's
무거운
happening.
것이었는지 법원은 깨닫게 될 것입니다.
And if we continue to do it at the Supreme Court and at the courts of power, at these legal institutions, they will realize it too. They will also realize the legitimacy of direct action, which in fact is what the second judge who wrote her opinion on
여러분 대법원 앞에서 단체 사진 찍을 수 있지 않을까?
herself
저희
said.
공문이 나왔는데
And
picture.
오케이.
oh yeah, we're gonna take a picture
경찰
right now.
선생님들이 공간 마련해 주셨으니까
Yeah, so here's the Supreme Court.
뭐야,
Oh.
단체 사진 찍어봅시다. 일찍 끝났죠?
Goyang, do you have anything to say?
Well, it was amazing action. Every speech were really incredible. Well, maybe including mine.
Oh yeah, no. Goyang didn't.
환영팀 우리 어떻게
Thank you.
I summarized some of it.
Oh, really? It was
Yeah.
amazing. Thank you for help. It was amazing to have you as a friend. So we're gonna take a picture all together. Well, maybe this time I'm gonna join the. Yeah, I'm gonna join.
아, 여기 앉아도 되죠?
Hey, do you wanna join the photo? Let's go. Let's go.
갑시다, 갑시다.
So all this.
코리나가 앞에 갑시다.
죄송합니다. All these activists
앉아,
made
앉아.
amazing action today.
여러분 잘 앉아보고 촬영팀이 가이드 해주실 겁니다. 촬영팀 어떻게
Friends in San Fran, maybe I gotta go that way.
여러분, 내가 얼굴 공개하는 게 가능하다 하시는 분들은 마스크 내리고 사진 찍으면 훨씬 보기가 좋습니다. 마스크 내리고 사진 찍으면 훨씬 보기가 좋고요.
This is Sai, one of our chapter member. Hi.
지금 잘 나오고 있나? 뒤에는 안 찍는 분들. 네, 여기까지 하면 잘 안 보여요. 조금 더 안으로 들어가시면 좋을 것 같거든요. 조금 더 앞으로 나올게요. 우리 앞줄이 너무 뒤쪽으로 가 있으니까. 네,
And
앞으로.
now, one of our organizer, Chongyan, is
들어갈 거예요.
leading them for the picture.
개인적으로 가지고 온 물건들 좀 들고 멋지게 찍어볼게요. 얼굴 공개하는 게 가능하신 분들은 마스크 내려주시고요. 앞사람 머리에 내 얼굴이 가려지지 않도록
Maybe we don't have not many activists, but
찍어보겠습니다.
I can totally say every one of the activists, animal rights activists, are working really hard and they're amazing.
Disconnected.
저 뒤에 대보면 글씨가 있는데 이
I want to join.
잘 나오면 좋을 것 같아요.
Disconnected.
여기 옆에 계신
Maybe
살짝 옆으로 오시면 좋을 것 같거든요.
I gotta join there.
좀 잡아줄 수 있을까?
어떤 잡아드릴게요.
아, 감사합니다. 사야훈 글씨가 보이게 하려고 했는데 잡아주신대.
하도록 하겠습니다.
감사합니다.
네, 가리지 않나요? 이쪽은.
지금 당장!
동물의 방!
지금 당장!
동물의 방!
우리가 원하는 건 동물의 방! 잘 나왔네요. 몇 번 더 찍어야 될까요?
I gotta show you this. This is written.
거기
Animal
지금
also
그
wanna
자주색
leave.
마스크 쓰신 분들 아마 안 나올 것 같거든요. 그 좀 더 안쪽으로 들어오시거나 아니면 아예 이쪽으로 오시면 좋을 것 같아요. 네. 천천히 오시고.
All the steps, filming steps, and
자, 그러면 다시 한번 찍겠습니다. 지금
police.
당장!
동물의 방!
다시 지금 당장!
동물의 방!
그리고 우리 다른 촬영자분이 또 찍고 싶으시다고 하시니까 우리 이 그대로 잠깐만 더 기다려 볼게요.
영원님 오세요. 영원님 오세요. 영원님 오세요. 촬영 오세요. 영원님 오세요.
Say hello to Korean chapter of TXT. They're all amazing supporters and members.
지금 당장!
동물의 방! And also steps of TXT Korean chapter.
자, 지금 당장!
동물의 방!
다시 지금 당장!
동물의 방!
자, 모두 너무너무 고생하셨습니다.
고생하셨습니다. Thank you for watching, and yeah, everything we done from Gangnam Station to the Supreme Court, all the performances and speeches and
끝까지 가져가
actions. It was to bring it to the reality, animal rights and Rose's law. And there is no human right without animal right, and there's no human liberation without animal liberation, because we're all the same. And good friend Jake. Good, kind police officers. And Jonghyun, our organizer. Our proud organizer. Someone lost something. Whoa! I think that's mine. But actually, it's not mine. But let's have a short interview with the 은영 the badass.
좋아요.
You know, everyone in Korea loves 은영 or hate 은영. 안녕하십니까?
안녕하세요. 뭐예요? 영어 방송이에요?
This is 은영 the badass from Korean chapter, lead organizer of DXC Korean chapter. Say hello to friends in San Francisco.
Yeah, hello, hi everyone. We finally finished the march. Yeah, the march is a very big one. Everybody, 놀라웠다. Surprise the size of the march. Yeah, thank you everyone. I support you. Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'm gonna finish the live. Do you have anything to say? Say hello to your best friends.
Oh, yeah. I don't. Well, I mean, yeah. Thanks everyone for coming to visit. I feel really honored that I got the chance. Goyang got a lot busier than they thought originally. So I got to talk for a lot more than I expected, but I'm really happy I could, and give a lot more context so people could learn a lot about this chapter. And just keep your eyes on it. DXC Korea is going to keep doing really amazing things, and Goyang and Eunyoung and Didimar and Jonghyun, who you saw before, and all the different activists, and Myungil, who showed how to use the ribbons, and everyone did a really important role. And Seoul, who was part of the lockdown and took pictures today. So really, everyone has done so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for supporting us and marching with us and accidentally being, being me.
I guess maybe show our faces for the...
Okay. Yeah. Hi. And well, before I finish the live, I wanna show you the organizers and chapter members. Here's Didima from tech team and report team.
Hi all.
So who are you?
I'm Didimar. I'm the organizer of DXC Korea and also the tech team member. Only member. Nice to see you guys.
Yeah. Okay. Another person. Let's see. This is Jake. That is Jonghyun. Jonghyun is also. 얘가 이제 조금 이래. 얘도 똑같은 문제가 생기는 것 같아.
Hi, I'm Jonghyun in Korea. I'm report team. And I'm organizer in TXC Korea.
Right.
Yeah.
Amazing person. So, 어땠어?
오늘 I was so busy, so I can't 같이 준비. I can't prepare with all of my
Members?
맞아 members. But Today was really amazing. Yeah, so many people came, and our day was really amazing. Yeah. Thank you for watching, everyone.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. Now I'm gonna show you another chapter members. Where am I? Okay. Hi. This is the guy from SADD. 감사합니다. So here's another chapter member 다련. Hello 다련.
Hi. Why?
지금 챕터 멤버들 소개하고 있어.
I'm 다련. I'm
코리안 챕터.
I'm good and I'm not good at English. Sorry. Really not sorry.
다련 is really amazing person. Here's Gigi, another chapter member.
Hi. This slogan is 동물 권리 장전. We allowed in Supreme Court.
And 저기 어딘가. 동물의 방. And here's 효경. Also our chapter member 효경, who worked so hard and dedicate a lot. I gotta go now. Bye. Thank you. Have a nice good night. Have a good night. Bye. Love is action. Bye.